You're listening to Frankly Speaking Sports with Larry Frank on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking Sports. And what a beautiful, beautiful night it is for baseball. As our Tampa Bay Rays have a one game remaining for the sweep with the California, well, I still call them California, the Anaheim Angels. And tonight we'll have Cullen McClue 0-1 on the mound versus Andrew Heaney, who is 1-2, and we're going to show you some highlights from last night's game. We're going to talk a lot about the Rays, what's going on with the Rays, despite not hitting the baseball, still having a 4 or 5 game hitting streak. So a lot going on with the Rays. We're going to take phone calls. We're going to take comments as well. We want to welcome Eric Armstrong to the show today, a good buddy from Gainesville. Anybody else, if you want to leave comments, please go ahead. It says it right in the opening when you clicked on the show tonight that you could go ahead and do so and allow permissions to stream you. But I'm fired up about the Rays. I know everybody's talking about, the faltering of the Rays, and I do want to welcome everybody, before we get into that, first of all, let me make sure if I could. There we go. I want to welcome everybody tonight onto our show on several different platforms. We're on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on Northeast Streaming Sports, just to talk to the few. And tonight, as always, we are also on our Facebook group called Rays Life. That's right. If you are a Rays fan, a big Rays fan, and you like updated news, updated comments, interacting with people while the game is going on, well, this is definitely a group for you. It's Rays Life. It's 2 words, RAYS space LIFE. Go to Facebook, join today, and get all the latest updates on Rays news and comments. Our good buddy Scott Bradford belongs to that. A great, great group. Last night I'm watching the game, and I'm back and forth with different people, and we're discussing what should be done, what shouldn't be done. But if you're a Rays fan, I'm telling you now, folks, you are doing yourself a dissatisfaction if you do not join this group, Rays Life. Want to thank everybody for joining us so far tonight. We have a great, great show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about a lot of Rays baseball. And I gave you a call-in number for those of you that want to call in, want to ask questions, whether it might be about Yoshi Susago or Mike Brasso or Brandon Lau or whatever. Go ahead, give us a call, and we'll answer your questions accordingly. Try to make sure I can see the phone so that I can answer your questions. We'll have a special guest later on tonight through the next hour. The game starts at 9:40 p.m. for those of you on Bally Sports. So for those of you that don't know it, Bally Sports is covering tonight's game. And we'll go ahead and do that and cover you on that. But before we start with the Rays news, very disappointed here tonight that Albert Pujols of the California Angels has been designated for assignment. Has 667 homers, 6 Silver Slug Awards, 3 NL MVPs, and just an incredible, incredible player. Sorry to hear that about Albert. And, this is the one thing that bothers me about sports, folks. And we mentioned this before on Frankly Speaking Sports, is you never know who is making the decisions here. You never know. It always seems like, it's coming from above. Yesterday, Joe Madden is told by the front office, do not go ahead and play Albert Pujols. And probably because they didn't want him to get hurt. They wanted to DFA him. But at the end of the day, who the hell is making the calls on the field? We talked about this, and we talked about this with Dan Jennings, one of the executives to the GM of the Washington Nationals when he was on. Who's calling the shots. He said the managers. Well, I believe Dan, and I believe in the Washington Nationals case, Davey Martinez is doing that, but not in the case, obviously, of the California Angels. And I'm a big Joe Madden fan. Everybody knows that. But you know what? If I'm a manager of a team and I want to play a player and I think he has the best opportunity to make us win on that night, then damn it, I'm going to play the player who I think gives us the best chance to win. And I was very disappointed to hear that came above. Almost tells me that, why he didn't stick up for him and say, I want to play him. The guy was 6'9" against Yarborough with a couple of ding-dongs. And you wonder why they didn't play him. And it's a great, great question. And, really pisses me off that this game is changing so much to a point now where the next multi-million-dollar contract in Major League Baseball is going to go to a guy that's batting 200 instead of 300. You already fail 7 out of 10 times when you hit the baseball. We're doing everything we can to screw this game up and make it worse by having a home run derby show every single night we play the game. And I don't want to go off on a tangent, but that's just the way I feel. Love to get some input from some of you that are listening. I'm going to go to the comment section. I want to also ask everybody that is listening tonight if you can go ahead and share this to your timeline. We're talking some Rays baseball. We do have a call-in number if you want to get on the air live. That's right. If you're on Rays Live tonight, we are coming to you live on Rays Live. Go ahead. Call 813-922-9810. Let yourself be heard. Talk about the Rays. What's going good for you? What do you think's going bad? And we'll talk about it and we'll discuss it. But the one thing you can't say, folks, is that our pitching has not done its job. It's been doing a great job, been doing a terrific job. And yesterday night was no different. You had Andrew Kittredge go 2 innings, allowed 1 hit, 1 walk, and a strikeout. And Kittredge right now on the year has a 1.32 ERA. So just an incredible job by him last night. And then, Yarborough gets in a little trouble last night, and I'm on one of the groups, and I'm listening, and I'm watching the reactions. Guys, every time a pitcher gets in trouble, it's almost like you've been trained by Kevin Cash, the manager. Oh, no, crap's going to hit the fan. One of the things about pitchers is how well they do under stress situations, and you got to let these guys that get into trouble find their way and learn how to get out of trouble as well. And I think yesterday, Yarborough did a great job, went 4 innings, 5 hits, 1 run. His ERA is under 3. So these guys are doing a great job. Thompson comes in, and then, of course, what can you say about Jeffrey Springs, who looks like he's turning in to the closer while Nick Anderson is gone? Now, there's a couple of things before we get into tonight's game and a couple of previews. I want to go ahead real quickly and show you the highlights from last night's game. Let's see if I can go ahead and pull those up real quick.
Ohtani night always gets a lot of attention here at home as the Angels take the field, eager to snap out of a 3-game funk.
Big pitcher in the early going with Kittredge trying to keep it scoreless. Right-hander set and ready to go. There go the runners and the payoff. Pitch is grounded. The cap to Yoshi for securing the out, and the Angels turned away in the second. What a play by Willie Adames.
Here's Austin Meadows now on the first pitch. Hot shot. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Bill. I'm just too coordinated to not make that play.
It's like, okay, what can Shohei do? We know he can feel his position now. Why drive up the middle? Yeah, I got it. That's a beautiful moment. Okay, my bad.
Batter now for the Angels is Jared Walsh. Crowd intentionally walked. They're loaded.
And Walsh takes ball 4. A 4-pitch bases loaded walk. Yarbrough didn't miss by much on either of those. Angels get the run to start the scoring tonight. 1-0.
Fletcher third, Trout second, Walsh at first. Big pitch here on 2-2. Swinging a ground ball left side, right to Wendell. He'll go the short route to second to get the out, and that will retire the side. They force out Walsh, so minimal damage done.
2 runners in scoring position, trying to strand the second of 2 here. Selected to the side.
It's a 2-2 splitter that's chased and missed. Phillips is a strikeout victim. Second strikeout in the inning for Ohtani, is 5th in the game, and that'll do it for the Rays here.
Trout 0 for 1 was intentionally walked his last time.
1 gone, base is empty. 1-0 Angels, last of the 5th.
Same spot again. No, the crowd not real happy about it. And there's no way you can get it out of the way of that.
Yeah, that's right. Give the raspberry. Yeah, we got some enforcers in the crowd tonight.
Shohei officially goes 5. He allowed 1 hit at the moment, no runs, 2 on base. He had 7 strikeouts in the game. 84 pitches, 47 for strikes. Now they have runners everywhere with 1 out. Satsugo is the batter. Here's the pitch, and he bounces this one by Rodriguez. Out to second on the bag, touching it, and then firing to first base is Iglesias, and that will hit the inning. How about that? That was a ball there that was basically back to the mound, but it went under the glove of Chris Rodriguez.
So again, the Rays with the first 2 hitters aboard. Now the top of the order, Brandon Lau. Fly ball back into center field. He's got some carry all the way to the wall and gone. Home run to center field off the batter, Brandon Lau, and the Rays, just like that, are on the board and take the lead 3-1.
5th homer of the season for Brandon Lau, and he got a pitch he can handle. He got it up in the air, and it cleared the wall and landed in the shrubbery out there.
This has been a rough outing here for Derek. Coming with the wall, the base hit to left. But struggling with command and location, and that center cut.
2 up and 2 down in the ninth.
The Angels are down to their last try tonight.
And a swing and a miss, and he closes this one out and will get a save, and the victory that goes to Yarbrough. The Rays win it.
Yes, they do win this one. And a great, great win by your Tampa Bay Rays. And, you know, you got to be happy for Brandon Lau. Got a big, huge home run, 3-run ding-dong, diggity-ding-dong, and the Rays end up winning the ball game. But a couple of things here, you know, and I know sometimes I go off on a tangent. I say things, but, guys, Kevin Cash, you know, and I said this on a number of my shows, and I'm not trying to beat the guy up, but I say that we are a manager away from getting back to the World Series. And I know a lot of you fans look at me and say, how can you say that, Larry? Kevin Cash got us to the playoffs the last 2 seasons. Guys, you don't play the game of baseball to get to the playoffs. You play the game of baseball to win a World Series. I don't care about the playoffs. All that tells me is that I'm better than some crappy teams. By winning the World Series tells me I'm the best team. And there's a lot of decisions and a lot of moves that Kevin Cash makes when it comes to players that are very questionable. Very, very questionable. And you have to ask yourself, you know, how good is he really? And I know I question him, and I'll question it tonight. You look at this lineup, guys, and, you know, you can take this righty-lefty, righty versus lefty, lefty versus righty, and throw that crap away. You know, in the old days when we played baseball the way that it was supposed to be played, very rarely, unless a guy needed a rest, did we do that, or if the catcher caught the night before and it was a day game, did we make a change? And I'm constantly seeing everybody try to do the matchups, okay? Everybody's doing the matchups. Well, if you're playing baseball the analytical way, the way Kevin Cash says it should be played, then Mike Zunino should not be playing tonight. Why? because Michael Zunino has a lifetime batting average against Andrew Heaney. He is 1 for 11. 11 at-bats, 1 hit, and I believe the hit was a home run. But at the end of the day, you're almost hypocritically playing the game. Now you're saying you play Zunino when the numbers say you don't. Make up your mind. How do you want to play the game? The way the game should be played is you have to go with a starting team, Kevin Cash. Okay? Brandon Lau should be playing today. He hits a home run yesterday, and how do you reward him tonight? By putting his ass on the bench. Okay? That's not the way you keep a player playing at a high level for you. You have to ride the waves, and that's where Kevin Cash is lacking as a manager. He doesn't know how to ride players' waves. And, it should be real simple. And this lineup is not a tough lineup. Obviously, Susaldo is not playing well. He should not be playing. If you want to use him in a pinch hit situation, and why you would with a guy batting under 200, unless you're looking for him to hopefully hit one deep, would probably answer that question. But when you look at this lineup, Arozarena's got to play every day in left field. Margot's got to play every day. He's playing well. Meadows has to play every day, okay? And you can argue over whether Meadows should be a DH or play in the outfield, and should Kiermaier maybe be in the other spot. But Kevin Kiermaier continues to struggle with runners in scoring position, and I think it's only a matter of time before he's not a Tampa Bay Ray yet. Does he have some big hits? Does he do some great things? Absolutely, guys. But at the end of the day, okay, you have to have those guys playing. In the infield, you have to have Yandy Diaz playing. Right now, Willie Adames. You have to have Brandon Lau playing. You signed Brandon Lau to a decent-sized contract. If you don't want Brandon Lau to be playing every day, then damn it, bring up Wander Franco, plug him in at second base, and let's get this thing going with Wander Franco. Okay? We'll start the Franco-American chant, okay? But we need to go ahead and decide, is Brandon Lau going to play or is not? And can Brandon Lau be a DH? Okay? G-Man Choi will be coming back. We know he's going to be playing first base. Then you got to ask your question, is it worth playing Zunino, or should Mahia, the switch-hitting catcher, be playing every day? But when you look at a guy and you're looking at, I have nothing against Brett Phillips, but Brett Phillips is lucky if he bats 200 and you're starting him in right field tonight. I question that. You put Margot in the outfield, in right field. You put Kiermaier in center field, and you go with it. I don't care about this righty-lefty stuff. It's about time we take that stuff and just get rid of it. It's a shame, a shame, a shame. But Wander Franco, guys, is tearing it up in the minor leagues right now. I think he's 6 for 9, 5 extra base hits, a homer, and you name it. But this lineup, the only way you're going to get this lineup to play well, to hit well, to run well, to score well, is for you to get consistency. And the only way you're going to get some consistency here, folks, is if the manager plays a similar lineup every day. It can't be about, well, I don't want what's-his-name getting mad because he's not playing. You're not here to make friends. You're here to win ball games. And right now, he is failing as a manager when he can't make the right calls. He doesn't know how to use a pitching staff. It shows year after year. And I'm not just talking about the Blake Snell incident in Game 6, but there's been cases with Yarbrough. There's been cases with Charlie Morton when he was here. There's been cases of Glasnow. I mean, many cases where he doesn't know whether to stretch pitchers more or use them less. And that's going to kill you in this game of baseball. He is trying to live by the home run on offense, and, it's not going to work. This team is a line drive hitting team who will pop balls out of the yard, but they got to not be swinging for the fences. And until they realize that, they're not going to be a good team. But to get back to my point, you have to have a starting team. Margot deserves to play every day. Rosarina, you got to let him play out of it. And Meadows have to be your 3 starting outfielders, or Meadows DHing and Kiermaier out there. And then in the infield, without Wander Franco there, you have to go with Diaz, Adames, Wendell has to play, and G-Man Choi. I mean, how you don't play Wendell, which he did tonight, is almost impossible too. So you got to ask yourself, Brausau's got to be the main man off the bench. The guy that can play everywhere is going to be Michael Brosseau. Susago, when G-Man Choi comes back, as much as I hate to say it, and I know they got some money invested in him, but he could be gone. So Rays fans, what we're going to do right now before we go ahead and, well, let's talk a little bit about tonight's game because we're about 20 minutes away from game time. So real quickly, the lineup for the Rays, Colin McHugh. Now, if you guys don't know about Colin McHugh, he comes over from the Houston Astros. He's been in the bullpen. He has done both. He has pitched as a starter very effectively, I may say, and he has done pretty well as a reliever for the Astros. But tonight's lineup, Randy Rosarina, batting second, Manuel Margot, who's playing right field. Austin Meadows is the DH. Yandy Diaz at first. Brausau at second. Wendell at third. Zunino catching. Willie Adames, who's had an unbelievable defensive streak last night. You saw that. Incredible plays. Is playing short. And then Brett Phillips is rounding the lineup. Batting number 9 or 10, whatever you want to call it in the order. So what do the Rays need to do today to win? They have to, guys, we've been saying they got to get great pitching. They got to get great defense, which they've been getting. This team is 17-15, and they're winning because, as much as we constantly say, defense and pitching wins ball games. And that's why your team has a winning streak right now. That's why your team is on the brink of sweeping the Anaheim Angels, because this is what's going on in Major League Baseball. You win on pitching and defense, but they cannot continue to struggle. 1 for 8 last night, I think, with runners in scoring position. That is not a formula for success. Not a formula for success. Do want to remind you that we do have an open phone line. If you want to talk some Tampa Bay Rays, go ahead and give us a call. We are tonight on Rays Life as well. If you have Facebook, join Rays Life. It's 2 words, RAYS space life. And join today. You get the latest update on all the Rays news, interact with fans during the games, talk about situations that are going on. That's Rays Live. Also want to remind you, you can call in and get on the phone with us. That's right. Interact on the phone or leave a comment if you'd like. I'm checking comments frequently here. Want to welcome my buddy all the way from Temple Terrace, my buddy Tommy on the line. Tommy, hope you're doing well. It's been a little while. Tommy's going to go see the Rays play the Blue Jays in Dunedin, Florida, before they go to Buffalo and start playing there. So congratulations to Tommy. That should be a fun experience down there. I've been to Dunedin Stadium. It's just definitely a fun place to go to. But if you want to call in, interact, there's the number, 813-922-9810. Let me go ahead and we'll leave that up a second. And we're going to take a quick break. And for those of you that do not know, I'm going to try to get this comment out there. Let's give you a second to get the phone number, those of you that want it there. But for those of you that don't know, that today is actually Willie Mays' 90th birthday. That's right. Willie Mays' 90th birthday. And when we go to break, we got a little special surprise that we're going to go ahead and play for you while we go to commercial break. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll see if there's any phone calls. in between that. And then when we come back, for those of you that have watched the games in the 90s, you're definitely going to know our guest. Our guest was a power hitting slugger, most well known for playing with the Boston Red Sox. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and have an interview with the great Reggie Jefferson. But let's go ahead and go to break real quick.
Hey, Mr. Mays, I just want to stop and wish you a happy 90th birthday, my man.
Just want to wish Willie Mays a happy 90th birthday. Your impact on this game is legendary.
Just want to wish the great Willie Mays a happy birthday, happy 90th birthday. Young man, can't wait to see you again. As soon as this pandemic is over, I got to buy you lunch. But again, happy birthday to the greatest center fielder of all time.
Hey, Willie, happy 90th birthday. Thanks for raising the bar so high and being such an inspiration.
Happy 90th birthday to Willie Mays. You're one of the greats. You're one of the guys that had 5 tools, and it showed every day. I just want to thank you, and your great work didn't go unnoticed.
Happy birthday, Willie. I hope you're having a wonderful day. You are not only one of our game's all-time greats, but you are a wonderful ambassador for baseball. I hope to see you up in Cooperstown again real soon.
Hey, Willie, this is Joe Torre. I just want to wish you a happy 90th. Wow. I always look forward to hanging out. I really treasure our time together. So hopefully this summer I'll see you at Oracle. Happy birthday.
Hey, Willie, man. Happy 90th birthday, man.
Happy 90th birthday, Willie.
Hey, Willie. Just want to wish you a happy 90th birthday. Grew up a big Giants fan, always a fan of yours, and I still got a signed baseball from you hanging up in my room. So happy birthday and wishing you all the best.
Hey, Willie, what's up, man? Pete Alonso here from the New York Mets. I just wanted to wish you a very happy birthday. I hope you have a special day and you get to celebrate with your friends and family and loved ones. As always, let's go Mets.
Hey, Willie, it's Buster. Just wanted to wish you a happy 90th birthday. Hope you have a great day.
Yeah, and what an incredible guy. The first I remember Willie Mays is obviously I was too young to see him play with the San Francisco Giants. So my first experience of knowing Willie Mays was obviously with the New York Mets in his later years when, as all athletes do in their later years, they start to lose some of their playing ability. But what a great guy, the Say kid. And before we get to our interview tonight, we have a couple of minutes before our special guest will be on. I want to go ahead and before the game starts, it's about 10 minutes till game time here in Anaheim. I want to go ahead and play a little clip, play a little interview of what the coach's perspective was of last night's win and Brandon Lau and the pitching staff in that game.
Yeah, that was a big one. Though Tiny made it challenging. He's just got electric stuff, but good for Brandon. He's been, scuffling a little bit, wearing it on his sleeve. That was a big hit. I was excited to see him smiling afterwards. And that was the impact of the game that we needed, and he came up with it.
Ryan Thompson, big there in that 7th inning to get Mike Trout and help shut that door, and then battling in the bottom of the 8th. Just how big and impressive was he? Yeah, the at-bat with Trout was huge, and then to be able to get the double play ball was, just as big right there. His the last batter he faced. But very encouraged with Thompson and definitely Springs coming in and just filling up the strike zone. I think he threw close to 15 pitches, 13, 14 strikes. Just an outstanding effort. Really, Kit was good. Yards, maybe a tick off today, but really competed well. I mean, it's tough to say a guy's off when you give up 1 run, and I don't even know if it was earned. But just an outstanding pitch game. And then just more broadly, I guess 3 wins in a row, that has to feel pretty good. I know it's early in the season, but especially after that brief stretch you guys went through.
Yeah, look, it is good. We're excited to be playing better baseball, getting some timely hits. Tonight, the defense was outstanding. The double plays, Joey Wendell, Willie, Brandon, all of them just played such a big part helping us win.
Kevin, what was it like going through those first 6 innings? I mean, you had all these guys on with all the walks.
Yeah, it was just uncharacteristic. There were walks, there were hit by pitches, there were, that's why I said it just wasn't coming easy for Yarbs. He was just a little bit off, but man, give him a lot of credit for staying at it and staying composed enough to make some big pitches, and the defense behind him. It seemed like every time he created some soft contact, and we were there to roll a ball, maybe get 2 outs out of it.
Right.
All right, that was Coach Cash, manager Kevin Cash, talking about last night's game. And, one of the things, you got to understand, folks, is there's going to be guys going through slumps through a season. And every time they do so, as fans, we can't just keep hating on people. Last night as I'm watching or as I'm listening and as I'm going through different groups to get information, and I like to talk to fans while I'm watching the game. I watch my shows and stuff. You can't get rid of every player every time they make a mistake, or before long, you won't have a team to put out there. Now, there are certain situations I understand the frustration. I agree with you. Certain things like, should Susago still be playing? Is he, should Kiermaier, be in center field or Margot? Or should Meadows maybe be, or Arizarena be maybe DH in that time and flip-flopping people around that way? I can see stuff like that. But, we can't get rid of every player every time they don't produce. Now, one of the things the Tampa Bay Rays have to work on tonight is the fundamentals of baseball. And you started seeing the Angels doing that. If they want to win, they're going to have to play the game the way it was used to be played. They're going to have to bunt. You saw Kevin try one last night. Oh my gosh, I almost had a heart attack when I saw that. It's about time. I've been saying it all year. Okay, you got to get productive outs. When runners are on first and second and no outs, at the least you have to get them to second and third with 1 out so a single drives them in. There are such things in baseball called productive outs. And you got to be doing the little things in baseball to win. You got to be running. You got to be taking extra bases. You got to be hitting the relay man. You have to be stepping on first base when there's a play at first base. Those are the little things you do in spring training to help you throughout the year. Fundamental baseball. Fundamental baseball. Driving the ball to the right side of the infield when a guy's on third so he automatically scores when they're playing back. Those are things you do to win ball games. And if the Rays are going to start winning ball games, they are going to definitely have to go ahead and start doing the little things, small ball, billy ball, whatever you want to call it, in order to win games. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take a 10-second station break to allow our stations to identify themselves. And when we come back, we will have, looks like Reggie Jefferson, former slugger of the Boston Red Sox.
You're listening to Frankly Speaking Sports with Larry Frank on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking Sports. And for those of you who did not know, that was a game-winning home run, I believe, on Father's Day for Reggie Jefferson. And it is my great honor, thrill, and, of course, a pleasure to have joining us on Frankly Speaking Sports. Let's welcome in Reggie Jefferson. Reggie, how you doing tonight?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I want to thank you so very, very much. I know you're a busy man, and for you to be able to come on this evening is a great privilege to us, and we definitely appreciate it during this busy time.
Oh, no, I thank you for having me. I'm glad you're able to work it out. And always love to talk sports. So thanks again for having me, and enjoying getting a chance to meet you and talk a little bit.
Well, Reggie, let's go back all the way to 1986. You and I are about the same age, so our lifespan has been the same. You're drafted in the 3rd round. I believe it was out of high school, if I'm correct. What made you decide to go ahead at that time and sign with, I believe, it might have been the Cincinnati Reds?
Yep, you're correct. I think the biggest thing was I just felt like I was ready for pro ball. I mean, I kind of set some parameters that if I was drafted in a certain round, then I was ready to go give it a shot. And once I went the 3rd round, I was excited about it. I was committed to Florida State, but I felt like the opportunity was there, and I was ready from a mental standpoint, and I definitely made the right decision for myself to go out and play, develop, and take baseball on full time. It allowed me to get to the big leagues and do the best I could. I had a good career.
Now, growing up in the 70s and in the 80s, Reggie, who were the guys that you idolized, that you said, I love the way they play the game? And if there was anybody that you could critique yourself that you wanted to be like when you played the game, who was that player?
Oh, wow. There's a few guys that just popped in my head. And I remember as a young kid watching Rod Carew, and he was a magician with the bat. I mean, just the way he commanded the strike zone, hit the ball all fields, and he was just one of my favorites. You could see the game of the week or all-star games that he would be in. And Andre Dawson was a big fan. I was a big fan of his, and really because he played at Florida A&M, and I was from Tallahassee, so I used to hear his name a lot. People talked about Andre Dawson, and we didn't have any black major leaguers from Tallahassee, so I gravitated to him because he had played at Florida A&M and loved his game. Guy that mild-mannered, but just went out and played the game the right way and put up numbers. And then another guy I would think about in my high school years, Ryan Sandberg with the Cubs. I really liked the way he played the game. And kind of a similar theme there, guys that didn't say a whole lot, but just went out and handled their business. So those are 3 guys that really stand out to me as a kid growing up.
Now, a lot of people don't remember, Reggie, because they remember you so much as a lefty hitter that at one time you were a switch hitter. And it seemed like when you got, I don't know if you got traded or signed with Seattle, and you went over there and you played with guys like Edgar Martinez, one of my favorite DH guys, okay? You're one of them too, okay? And people like Ken Griffey, you went over to Seattle and it seemed like you stopped switch hitting. What made you decide or led to that decision to go ahead and stop switch hitting?
Oh, it was a tough decision, but it was one of those things where I was going into my 4th year in the big leagues, and I was primarily a DH at the time. And, I was running into this deal where as a DH, the manager is going to put the guy with the best bat in there. And, I'd have a guy on the team who was a better right-handed hitter than I was, just being frank about it. And so he would get the nod. So I wasn't getting at bats from the right side, and then I'd get an at bat once every 2 weeks, and it just seemed like a waste of time. I just didn't feel comfortable. I said, if I'm only going to get one at bat every 2 weeks, I might as well just stay on the left side and try to figure that out. And I tell kids today, if you're an up the middle player, being shortstop, second base, catcher, center fielder, never give up switch hit because you're in the game for your defense also. So it's such a tool and it's a weapon. But in my case, it was my 4th year in the big league. I wasn't getting the reps. The swing was getting really bad right-handed. And I needed to really perfect left-handed hitting just to stay in the big leagues. I'd been there for 3 years and I wasn't established by any means. So it all kind of came together where I said, you know what, I'm going to go lefty full time. I think it did help me become a better hitter from the left side and really establish myself for the next 5-6 years. So it was a tough decision. One I wouldn't recommend for every player, but for me, I think it was the right thing to do.
Reggie, is the righty-lefty analytic thing about where lefties hit righties better and righties seem to hit lefties better, is that overrated? I mean, as a good hitter, don't tell me that you're going to sit Tony Gwynn was a switch, could hit both ways, but Tony Gwynn, you're not going to sit because he's facing a lefty pitcher. I mean, do you think that these guys, is that an overrated thing in baseball, or do you think it has some truth to it?
Oh, it's way overrated. I think that, in certain cases, you will platoon guys, but, once a guy has gone out for 2 or 3 years and shown you that he's a good hitter, he has a good idea of the strike zone, he can drive in runs, you got to play him every day because that guy gets in a rhythm. He's going to be able to hit lefties or righties. You're going to have games where the starter comes out of the game, and then you got to make a bunch of switches in order to line it up again, and it doesn't win you games in the end doing all those moves. You have to have a set lineup that you play every day, and you let guys get into a rhythm. So I definitely think it's overrated, and I think that it's case by case, but a good hitter is a good hitter. I remember a couple years ago, Cody Bellinger had hit 35 home runs, and the Dodgers were platooning him in the World Series, and I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen because you're taking a guy who's been your best player all year, and you're not using him in prime time. And now he's outgrown that, but that should have never been the case with that player. I mean, that just didn't make any sense to me.
Now, a hitter like you who was able to hit the ball to all sides of the field, how much did Fenway Park and that wall, or how much does it help a lefty who can go the other way?
Oh, it's a Christmas present every day you play there, and that's the key. You have to be a guy that uses the that does so well there. You can miss a ball sometimes to left field, and it makes that wall if you're a strong guy. You get it in the air, and it'll go off the wall. Now, it does, if you hit a line drive, sometimes you may bang it off of that wall and it costs you a couple of homers. But average-wise, it's tailor-made for the lefty that can use the whole field. And when I was there, we had a few guys that were really good at that, and we had, as a result, we had some good hitting teams.
Yeah, and your best years, and I say your best years, you played 9 years, you retired young, but they obviously came in Boston. I don't know if our listeners realize this, but you had a lifetime average in Fenway Park of 345, which just back at that time, is just amazing. Why wasn't a guy, and you just mentioned it with Cody Bellinger with 35 homers, why would a guy who's batting 345 from the left side go ahead and not use more platooning than going ahead and letting you hit first righties as well?
I think
first lefties as well.
No, gotcha. No, I understood what you meant. I think it was a deal where, if you look at those rosters, I think, I remember when I first got there, Mike Stanley was signed as a free agent catcher. Yeah. And who knew, but he had an injury that Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I want to make sure you can hear me.
No, I could. It just came back on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. I had a call that came in. Sorry about that. Mike Stanley was signed as a free agent to catch. Well, he had an injury, I think, to his neck where he couldn't catch anymore. So now you got a guy that you're paying a ton of money, and I was in the DH spot, so he had to get some at bat somewhere. So then we started sharing it there, and then I think it worked so well that Jim Leyritz came in, and it was another, a big time right-handed bat. So I think it was just again the team overthinking it to the point where I even got frustrated by it. But I think those circumstances were there that they thought, well, how can we get the most production out of that spot? They didn't go out and sign a JD Martinez, so they said, well, we want to have a hitter out of that spot that maybe produces when you combine it like a JD Martinez. So I think you have to ask them. But that's kind of how I saw it, and I think that looking back, that's probably what it was. I had a couple of injuries during the time in Boston with my back that hurt me when I was getting on a really good roll, so that contributed to it. So there's multiple things, But I always say that, man, I really love playing in Boston. If you ask me now, who'd you play with? That's who I think of first. Cincinnati drafted me, but I think of Boston when people say, who'd you play with in your career? So it was fun times. But, yeah, I think that's probably what it was a combination of things.
Now, it was pretty much obvious that, especially your later years with Boston, that the relationship between you and Jimmy Williams wasn't necessarily what you would call, the friendliest of all. But, how were you able to handle that? And obviously so. You're a great hitter. You need to be in the game. He's not using you correctly. I mean, talk about that, and what do you think led to those decisions by Jimmy not to use you in these games?
Oh, it's hard to say. I think you'd have to ask him. I mean, I think it was more. I think Jimmy's a nice guy, and I like to think that I'm a nice guy. So I don't think it was anything personal. I just think it's competitiveness of a player. You as a player, you want to be in there, and you want to know what else do I have to do to get that shot. So I think it was more of competitiveness than anything else that caused the relationship just to go sour. And that's really how I look at it. I don't think anything else more about it. Individually, I think it's just when you want to be great as a player, you want to play. I don't care where it was. If I'm not in the lineup, I'm not happy. I was telling someone last week. Right. I said the biggest thing that would get my attention as a player was when I wasn't playing. You can tell me anything, or you could say do this and do that, and whether I was in the right or wrong, if I was sitting on that bench, I wouldn't have the camera. And I think that's how you got to be if you're going to compete at the major league level.
So talk about your experience in Japan. Your last year, you go to Japan. I know many players. I'm good buddies with Orestes Destrade. He played obviously over there in Japan for many years. Had a great career over there. What was your experience like that?
Oh wow, it was unforgettable. I think is the word. I went over there. I was really indifferent about going, but it was a great opportunity for my family. And you get over there, and people say, "Man, it's baseball. Baseball is baseball," but it's not. It's different, and it's hard to explain if you don't you live it. It's just the way the game is thought over there, the way it's played. It's their game. They've taken our game and developed it and morphed it into their culture and the way they do it. So when you've grown up in the United States playing the game a certain way, it's going to be different. There's no way around it. But they have great fans there. I think their fans probably are more fanatical about the game than they are here. I mean, it's unbelievable. I got played with some really good players, and I was able to adjust. The first half of the year I struggled, but then the second half I kind of found the groove and was contributing to the team and enjoy it. It's a great experience now that I can share with people of having gone over there, because it's I can say I play baseball pretty much everywhere.
Yes, you can. Now, you played with some great hitters in your career. I mean, obviously Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, and, even one of the guys who I think is probably one of the best teachers today of hitting in Mo Vaughn. I mean, talk about some of the hitters you played with and who influenced you most when you played in the major leagues?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. Yeah, I was fortunate to play with some really good hitters. But I think when you're in the majors, I mean, especially in the era that I played, everybody had good hitters. I mean, it was just great guys that really knew what they were doing up there and had great approaches. But, you know, for me, it's every stop there were guys, you know, in Cleveland, Albert Bell, you know, was unbelievable. Carlos Baerga had about a 4 or 5 year run there where it was fun watching him as a switch hitter. Kenny Lofton was an exciting player. Then I go to Seattle and again, Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez, Tino Martinez, and then, of course, Boston, Mo Vaughn, being able to play with him. I tried to take a little bit of all those guys, you know, and DH, like I did, I watched a lot of players on other teams. You know, it was always trying to learn what each guy did, what made him great. The guy that I've had in, someone you mentioned earlier, Tony Gwynn, you know, because I was a very similar hitter. I mean, he was on a whole other level than me, of course, but I hit the ball naturally to all fields like Tony did, and that's what he believed in. So I studied Tony Gwynn a ton. When I talk to kids now about hitting, it's Tony Gwynn. You know, that's who I pattern everything about off club. So he influenced me a lot to watch, but you know, in pattern. But I learned from everyone. I mean, Griffey to me was the greatest at just knowing what the other team was going to do to him. You know, and he banked on it. And then, like idiots, they would do it, and the ball would end up in the seat. He was phenomenal like that. Albert Bell was just such a competitor. You know, one of those competitive guys I've ever been around. You know, and it was just fun to watch those guys perform, and I enjoyed it. You know, I was telling someone the other day, I grew up with huge baseball fans, so in order to be able to play in the major leagues was a huge thrill for me, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Couple more questions before we let you run, Reg. Let me ask you this. I mean, it's no surprise that the game has changed from the time you played to today's standard. And the one thing I want to ask you about is more on the management side of things. You see today, obviously, analytics being used every single place. But do you think, you know, I had the pleasure of being in the Yankees camp in the late 80s around Billy Martin. And one of the things I learned from him is that there's more than an analytical part of the game. There is a mental part of the game that each player has a different way to be motivated. And, you know, just because a guy hits well or is in a streak doesn't mean he's ready to play on any given day. So my question to you is the analytics side failing to look at the individualism side of baseball, the players, how they feeling, what they're doing, are they having a good day, are they having a bad day, did something happen in their personal life? Do you think that piece is gone from the days when you played baseball?
Yeah, I think so to a certain degree. I think as far as the analytics are good in that guys do get information on what guys do and what happens. I mean, I used to keep notes myself as a player on how guys pitch me. You know, nothing to the level that these guys do today, but I did it. You know, I'll say it was simple analytics, but I think now they've gotten carried away with it to where you take the human element out of it. And that's huge in baseball because baseball is like a 6-month soap opera. Guys going through slumps, going through hot streaks, feeling good or dealing with a nagging injury. And a computer can't read those things. So that's where I think they devalue the manager. They don't pay attention to these things as much as they should. And I think that when you get to the World Series, you get to the playoffs, it comes down to who has the best players. And that's what it's always going to be. You can have analytics all you want, but the Rays are not going to beat Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager, and Mookie Betts. They never will. Not when you got pitching to go along at the Rays. So you can do all the analytics you want, but it's going to come down to who has the better players. So
now,
around here,
we are based out of Tampa Bay. So I see that. Hey, listen, you know, we are based out of Tampa Bay here, and it wouldn't be right if I didn't ask you this question is, you had the opportunity to coach at USF and actually get your degree here at University of South Florida. The fans from Tampa here, tell them how your experience was at USF and having that ability to coach for that short amount of time here.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was kind of caught in it was a perfect storm for that opportunity. You know, I had worked 1 year with the Marlins, and after my playing career, and my wife was going nuts because I was way more than when I played. So I knew that wasn't going to last long. And I heard that Eddie was looking for an assistant coach, and I thought, you know, why not give it a shot? You know, apply for it and see if it's something you like. And lo and behold, I got the job, and it was great working with Eddie. You know, when I moved to Tampa, I used to go out and work out at USF, and Eddie would always let me use the cages, get work in, and he's one of the, you know, a legend. I mean, of course, a USF legend, but the guy knows the game. He's had a lot of great players, and he built that program. So it was fun working there. I enjoyed it. I laughed. You know, one of the things I tell people now is like in pro ball, you know, the game's over, everybody just said, hey, see you tomorrow. But when you're working with college kids, there is no see you tomorrow. You got to know what they're doing when they leave the field. Are they going to study hall? Are they staying out of trouble? It's just a whole different deal that I hadn't even thought about. But I got when I took the job, and I laughed about it at the time. But it's great. You know, some of the kids now that I coached, it's fun to see them as adults, and they're doing great in the world. And I really appreciate that time I spent there.
Now you had a chance in your career to play Major League Baseball, to coach, and also be an agent. Out of all the things that you've done with baseball, those three, first of all, which one did you enjoy most, and what are you up to doing these days with yourself?
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, playing. I mean, nothing compares to playing a game. I mean, it seems like the older I get, the more I miss actually playing. And so that's first and foremost. You know, being able to go out there and compete, especially at the highest level where you're challenged by facing guys that are just nasty on the mound, and just the intensity that you have to bring every day. And the dedication that it takes to be a big league ball player. So I miss that so much. But now I'm currently an agent still, and I've been doing that now for over 10 years, and I love it. You know, I have no plans to stop. I enjoy it. I get to work with young men. Actually representing Kevin Merrill, who was the first rounder out of USF a couple years ago, a client of mine. So I'm still around here, you know, busy with the game, loving it. And like I said, being an agent is a dream come true too. I love working with players. I love the business side of the game. So yeah, I'm busy with that right now, and then getting busier now that the minor leagues are coming back and majors are opening back up. You know, last year you couldn't visit players during 6-game schedule. Now it's, you know, it's a little bit better. So you know, baseball is back. I've really enjoyed watching these first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, me too. Now, is it only baseball that you're an agent for, or is it all sports?
Only baseball is what we deal with. I've referred football players to different places and things like that, but we deal with baseball.
Okay. Well, listen, Reggie, I want to thank you so very, very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us on Frankly Speaking Sports. It's been definitely a pleasure.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. Let's do it again sometime.
All right, you be safe, okay?
All right.
All right, we want to thank Reggie Jefferson so very much for allowing us the opportunity to speak to him. What a great interview. And, you know, you're watching the Rays, you're listening to the Rays, and you're going to yourself, you know, he's made a lot of things. You know, you can't keep switching things up. You got to allow people to get into a rhythm. Right now, for those of you wondering on the Rays score, they had a chance in the top of the first. Left runners on first and third. They're in the bottom of the second. top of the second, 2 outs, and Willie Adames is up with a 2-1 count. Before we leave, we'll go ahead and watch what's going on with Willie Adames here before this. Hopefully, he'll extend this top of the second inning. But the Rays, once again, having a chance to score and just not doing it. And here's Hinney with the 2-1 pitch. And there's a foul ball behind the plate. So that makes the count 2-2. But, when you're given those chances, you get a runner on second. We talked about this. You heard Reggie talked about it. You got to take chances. You got to do what you got to do. You got to take advantage of those chances. And that's what they're neglecting as Henny looks in for the sign. It's 2 outs here in the top of the second inning. It's a 2-2 count on Adames as he asks for time here. We're just about ready to wrap up our show. We'll wait until Willie Adames is done. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Willie Adames. There's a strike 3, a swing and a miss, and Adames goes down. So after an inning and a half, it's the Rays nothing and the Angels nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you all very, very much for joining us today. What a great, great show. I hope you like the insight on the Tampa Bay Rays. We give a lot of opinions, a lot of our thoughts. Some of you may think different. Some of you may have thought the same. We always love your comments, whether they're on the live version or the replay version. Please feel free to give us your thoughts. Remember, one of the things we do on this show is we agree to disagree. So if you have a different point, that's fine. Go ahead and do so. Once again, we also want to remind all you fans that are Rays fan, go to Rays Life. It's 2 words, RAYS space life. Go to Facebook, type that in the group. Go ahead and join it so you can get all the latest updates on Rays news, all the comments, all the interaction during games. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you Monday night on another episode of Frankly Speaking Sports.